Nelson, alcoholic addict. That's not my real name. I use a pen name here at LOL Sober. This summer, I've been outside quite a bit and gotten some sun. I've done some running. I've been lifting weights, and so I feel pretty good physically right now. And it made me think back to the last time I feel like I was in pretty good physical shape, which was actually 2008 when I was at my absolute bottom as an addict. And so when I say I was physically in good shape, it's like, yeah, other than the the pills and the booze and all of the other things. But at that time in 2008, I had lost a lot of weight, so I was pretty thin. I was doing some lifting, and I was doing self-tanner like crazy. Yeah, I was using a lot of self-tanner. Um, I didn't quite understand it at the time, but on the inside, I knew what I was. I was a raging alcoholic and an addict who was living just a giant lie, and I was probably going to die. And so to compensate for that, I tried to look as good as possible on the outside. You know, it's like fixing up the exterior of your house, even as the foundation of it falls apart inside. But, you know, no amount of nice new clothes or low body fat could cover up what was really happening with me. I was rotting on the inside, and it was eventually impossible to hide. I remember one work colleague came up to me, and she hadn't seen me in a couple of weeks, and she had like an alarmed look on her face, and she was like, "Man, you've lost a lot of weight, like maybe too much." And I blew her off in the moment, but her comment stuck with me. It's been 13 years almost, you know. But the truth is, how can nice triceps cover up for eating 50 Vicodin and 6 beers every night? You know, it can't. That's the truth. And so when I started thinking about that period in my life the other day, I specifically zeroed in on that self-tanner phase of my life. From about 2005 to 2008, I got worse and worse every single day, every day. And at the same time, I had two of my kids were born, and I was able to take some time off for work. And, you know, that ultimately led to long nights with crying babies, no work obligations, very little structure in my life. And so I could just use alcohol and drugs like crazy. And I just remember days and days where I didn't leave the house. The blinds were drawn. I didn't know if it was 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. And that's when I started busting out the self-tanner. You know, I wanted to look like I had left the house if I ran into anybody, you know. And so I had never used self-tanner in my life, and I never really cared about getting a good tan prior to this. And in my polluted addict brain at the time, I thought maybe it would help cover up the fact that I sat in a dark house all day, high as shit. And so when my wife and kids went to bed at 11 o'clock or so, I would bust out containers of self-tanning lotion, and I would like lather it on and just stand in the living room watching TV until it dried. And then I would cake on more and more and more. And I was usually pretty high also, and so my accuracy wasn't great. It was just a big sloppy mess. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror one time and being like, why does my stomach have one spot that is a lot darker than the others, and it looks like the outline of the state of Arkansas? And what is that weird cloud shape on my forearm? It was just a complete mess, literally and figuratively. I was embarrassed to be using self-tanner, so I hid all of it the way that I did my pills and empty beer cans. And I remember my wife asked me one time, "Did you spill some kind of lotion on the couch?" And I was like, "Lotion? What kind of lotion? What are you talking about? You think I'm just walking around with huge tubes of lotion?" I yelled at her. And, you know, I was totally gaslighting her, even about all sorts of things, but with self-tanner in that moment. And, like, let me be very clear, I have nothing against self-tanner, man. It's great product, I think. If anybody out there uses it, awesome, man. I could totally see myself using it again someday, but what I'm getting at here isn't the product itself. It's that my motives were so bad. You know, I was using it to cover up just a terrible lifestyle. And so, you know, it's helpful in retrospect to look back and see how my disease thinks and how my brain tries to hang on to the life that I was living, even though it was killing me. And with a clear head now and sobriety, I I know, like right now, self tanner would not help me feel better on a daily basis about my insides, even if it helps my outsides. And I'm not here to say like I don't care about my appearance, like far from it, I do. I mean, I care about it in a way that I hope is healthy. Try to make sure my insides and my outsides have a relationship with each other, that they're in kind of a decent place playing off one another rather than trying to cover up for the other, And I know that sounds kind of meta, but I just mean that I want to have a balanced, spiritual, contented life. And for me, and I'm only talking about myself here, I think that being spiritually fit helps me to eat a little better. And I think that eating a little better helps my spiritual fitness, that they play off of each other. And I need that good balance. And so that lately, that means I've been running, working out lately, and purposely getting outside to just spend some time in the sun. The sun and the clouds, the breeze, the rain, birds, all that stuff, it really helps me, And then I come home and I sit down on the couch, and I'm glad that I will not be leaving any weird sunless tanner stains on there. So for today anyway, we'll see about tomorrow. Thanks for letting me share.